Hello, everyone. As we all are going through a never seen before difficult phase in our lives, this is the time when we aspire more to learn from each other. That's how we can overcome our challenges, how soon the normalcy will come back. So today, let's hear from Mr. Anuj Kejriwal, who is the CEO and Managing Director of ANAROCK Retail. Hello, Anuj. Good afternoon.
Hi, Ashna. How are you doing? And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time for us. Having over 16 years of retail and real estate experience in advising domestic and multinational retail property owners, occupiers, and investors, he is also a founding member of RAI. With acquired expertise and experience in retail real estate domain, he specializes in retail advisory, transaction management, capital markets, and strategic divestment targeting domestic and international institutional buyers and HNIs. Currently, he steers the strategic direction, drives new business, joint ventures, and revenue growth. So Anuj, would you like to add something to this?
No, I think Ashna, it's been quite a kind introduction. We can probably jump into your quick questions here now.
Sure. So Anuj, as per your view, retail industry is experiencing a tough time. What can we expect in the last quarter this year?
So interesting question, Ashna. Let me first, kind of start off with saying that, what India is experiencing is, nothing different from what we're seeing globally. In fact, I think Indian retailers as of now have probably been more resilient towards these times. If you look at a lot of news that you read about or hear globally, you're seeing a lot of retailers in the US going bankrupt. And, these are retailers with probably 50, 70, 100 years of history. So they would have seen enough and more of these cycles. I think the Indian retail industry from that perspective, I think one has been quite resilient. I think my point number two to this is that, I've been interacting over the last 5 to 6 months with both the retailer community and the developer community. In my mind, I would probably say they've been the fastest to learn in this journey. They have continued to keep track of what's happening globally, which markets have opened before them, what are the best practices that they can pick up internationally, and they have really come back and applied that back in India, which is why you will see that the retail frontier on India is actually moving up much faster than what we expected back in June when we went through Unlock 1. I think so from that perspective, these guys have really had a great learning curve and they continue to apply practices globally, whatever they've learned to make this better day by day. I think the third thing that they have really, kind of done well is that they have understood that this is not the time to make sure that they are able to get more of the pie from the other guy. They have clearly realized that during these tough times, collaborating and being in a partnership and ensuring that they co-survive is more important than making sure that they make a little bit extra today. I think they've let that short-term vision go out of the window, and all of them are looking at how survival can happen in the mid to long term. From a perspective of what we really think is going to happen in the last quarter from here on, I can tell you when we started off in June, we were looking at footfalls coming into malls between 10 to 15%. It's moved up to 25% in certain regions. It's gone up to 40% in certain regions. We think going into the festive season and, different markets, I mean, you'll have Durga Puja happening in the east, you'll have Diwali coming up, you have the wedding season coming up. My guess is with all these things, if you're able to keep cases a little bit in control and people get confidence to move out, my guess is that 40% should move to about probably 60, 65%. I don't think it's going back to 100 because there'll be a lot of people who will still be skeptical to move out. The interesting part here is that even with the 15% footfalls, we saw sales of 25%. Today, when you're seeing footfalls of 25 to 40%, you're seeing sales revive to 40 to 60%.
Sure.
Our thought is that if footfalls can reach a 55 to 60%, you can probably look at a sale revival for the same time last year between 75 to 80%. And if we were to do that, I think we would have done a phenomenal job. That definitely, I think the festive season should help in the next quarter. You have to keep into account that what sales we are seeing today is actually without three important things that happen in a mall. And this is why the consumer, or bulk of the consumer is going. There was no F&B, there was no cinema, there was no events. My guess is events will still not happen for some time, but if you're able, and in some regions in India, F&B has now started to open. I think if across the country there is more relaxation on food and beverage opening, and if they get a go ahead to open cinemas, which I understand is around the corner, then suddenly that 40-50% can get that boost, which will really help more families come out, because also a lot of our customers have been at home for the last 6 months. You can only do as much ordering at home. You can, do only as much of Netflixing, which is a new term, or watching Amazon or all these things. At some point of time, you would want to move out. Families have been stuck. More so India lives more in joint families. Slowly we are moving towards living in nuclear families, but a lot of people have been, living together. They want to break out. So from that perspective, I think the coming quarters look much better. One specific point that I do want to make on the wedding season coming up, and that's probably the best quarter of the year that happens. You need to keep in mind that a lot of, and every parent has a budget for their child's marriage. That budget on the event part, because you can't have those 100, 200, 500,000 people weddings. It's going to get restricted down to probably 30 or 50. So your budget is really going to get squeezed when it's about the marriage. Suddenly the wallet size to spend on gifting may suddenly double, triple, or become quadruple. If that really happens and that money comes back into the retail market as expenditure, then that will also give a real boost to sales, and these will be across categories. And suddenly you may have a big trend on fashion starting to pick up, because all this money is now coming back to the market. So, my guess is overall, I think going from here, it looks great, keeping in mind that, this is a continuous learning curve for all of us. Things have looked better than what I think the industry expected. And if that same trend is to continue and some of the things that I just said comes true, I think you're looking at a big revival over the next 2 quarters.
Yes, absolutely. People are so bored of sitting at their homes, and, and everyone is looking forward for this festive season to come, the wedding season to come, so that they can go out, have some fun.
And Ashna, just to add, coming to office was regular life for a lot of us. Suddenly every day in the morning when you wake up, you think going to office has now become the outing. It's become a pleasure to go to the office, because at least you're moving out of your residence. The more and more opportunity that you give to customers to interface with, their past across various categories, I think customers will start to move out now.
Exactly. So that's really interesting to know, Anuj. So what do you think on the investment part in retail real estate? Would it still attract?
The answer to that is yes, Ashna, but I'll probably cover it up with a couple of points. If you look historically, India does not have, unlike overseas, they don't have parks, they don't have museums, they don't have these, really large entertainment places. Even the entertainment places that we have are really outside the city. And in
Right.
today's date, people are not willing to travel that distance as much. Plus you had travel restrictions till some time back. If you actually look at the social infrastructure of India outside your house, it's really, whether it's through the week or on the weekend, is to actually go to a retail center. I'm not going to get into what you're going there and doing, whether you're, probably just picking up an ice cream from McDonald's, or you're watching a movie, or, you're going there for a bite, or you're going there to shop. But the point is, you were going to a mall because that was your social infrastructure to go to. I don't think that trend is going to go away anywhere. I think this is a blip which has happened right now. That trend will come back also, because by nature, Indians are social animals. We don't like being stuck in our houses. We like to get out. There are a lot of communities in India which, by default say that, we want to eat 3 meals out every week. All those guys have been stuck in their house right now. And I think the second you give them a safe environment to move out, they will start to move out. And I think malls have already gone that way. I think from being social infrastructure, I think they are now also becoming socially responsible, because they have the best infra to provide a safe place to the customer. Because they've created all the backend to create a safe place. I think retailers have kind of stood up to ensure that they are providing safer environments to their customers. So at some point of time, this entire thing is going to start to move, and customers will come out, as we covered in the previous question as well. If you look at it really last year, the demand and supply curve was a pretty healthy curve. I think the revival of retail will kind of happen a little bit faster, because after this pandemic that we have gone through, you will suddenly see that the supply is going to come down. Because when you build a retail center, all your investment actually goes upfront. So your cost of land goes upfront, your cost of construction goes upfront, and really the day you launch the mall is when your rent starts to tick. So there won't be too many developers who will be able to invest that much money to ensure that at the latter half of the development, they start to make money. So I think the number of projects will come down, which will really help you do what? It's really going to consolidate the market. That means, if India had 600 malls earlier, there were about probably 100, or let's say good quality malls. Then there were another 100, 150 malls which were probably decent locations, or let's call them grade B for now. And then you had a whole list of malls, which were either wrongly located, the designs were wrong, may have been strata sold. The good part is that going on from here, because there is consolidation going to happen, the quality of malls, the quality of builders, the quality of design, and how they operate the mall post that is going to land up in a very few people. So suddenly, if the quality goes up, they become, from an investor point of view, they become more investable. So my guess is, take into mind that we are social animals, we will continue to shop, things will start to become better, there will be more disposable income, the quality of assets will become better, they will have higher ROIs and higher NOIs. At some point of time, I think, within the next, 6 to 12 months, my guess is retail is a fantastic asset class. Even today, while we speak, I mean, there would be enough and more transactions that are happening on the market, on the retail front itself. So I think retail will continue to kind of, be in the eye of the investor, and you will see over time a lot of money moving into retail. This last thing to add in that, amongst all the asset classes that you have in India, retail probably has the potential to give you the highest upside year on year. There is no other asset class which has the potential to probably grow at between 8 and 10% or even higher if you're able to turn your asset well. I think as part of their portfolios, I think every institutional investor will want to continue to have retail.
Sure. So you've spoken about the developers also, about their designs and how well they're doing. So, how are they gearing up post-COVID world, and how do they plan to see through this difficult phase? So if you could highlight this little more.
No, absolutely, Ashna, and that is a great question. I think what's really happened today, and what we need to keep in mind, is that social distancing at some point of time has become the new norm today. Stuff like safety, hygiene. I mean, this is part of your daily, or it's part of your daily vocabulary now, if I can say. My thought is, I did cover this earlier, that I think malls are from, just being social infrastructure, they are also becoming socially responsible to ensure a safer environment for their customers. And, their customers is not necessarily the consumer. For a mall developer, his customer is also actually the retailer, because he's giving out space to the retailer. So he has to first ensure that he's giving a safe environment and infrastructure to the retailer, so that he can set up a safe environment, so that together they are able to service the end customer. So I think one, they're really kind of gearing up towards that. I think in the entire lockdown period, while we were interacting with all stakeholders, they spoke a lot about being phygital, and that's really the new keyword that has come out. I think from their point of view, they're saying that, listen, in these tough times, we want to ensure that our customer, which is the retailer for now, is having enough sales. So I think these guys have also built up capability to ensure that they are able to align with the customer and the retailer to ensure that sales are happening. Whether that is, I mean, they call it something over the curb sale, or whether it is, curbside pickups, or it is contactless shopping. I think, both the retailer and the landlords have come together to build that infrastructure. I think another thing that developers are also evaluating today is to look at their category mix pre-COVID and their category mix post-COVID. Every time we see a downturn like this, there are always some categories which start to diminish, and there are always newer categories that start to emerge. I think developers have started to evaluate that to ensure that, how do they make their models and their assets more sustainable in the short, medium, and the long term. So that evaluation from their point of view is started. They're looking at stronger brands, they're looking at a better category mix. They're looking how they can do omni-channel, how can they be more phygital, what can they do to ensure more customers come in. So I think a host of things are going on right now to ensure that survival happens for all stakeholders, and I can tell you they'll come out on top of this.
So I asked that, in your experience, how would retail requirement will change in the near term and in long term, and how will it shape the retail real estate segment for future?
Sure. So my thought is retail requirements will not fundamentally undergo a change. What we have seen during the period of the lockdown, and let's quickly just move to online shopping right now. If you look at it globally, what the online platforms are expecting to grow over the next probably 5 to 7 years. They've got all that sales, and they've grown at the same pace in the last 4 or 5 months. So my thought is that on the e-commerce front, there will be a significant uptake on people moving to e-commerce. I think what is going to be critical is that how are retailers going to play the omni-channel game from here on. Also, my guess is if you look at physical retail, and I think that's really what you and me are both interested in. I think mall developers have started to understand that a lot of consumers have moved towards online sales. Going back to something that I said earlier, my thought is that still, Indian consumers are social animals. They're on the online platform right now because they're bound in their houses. They don't have the opportunity to get out. but there are still certain amount of requirements that need to be fulfilled. Once we see things opening up slowly, and you have the mall, about 60-70% of malls, all categories have opened up. Slowly you'll have F&B, you'll have cinemas. At some point in time, events will start. At some point in time, you'll be tired of sitting at home and you'll start to move out. The point is that a small chunk of that client base, which is online, will continue to stick online. It's not that everyone's going to move back to physical retail. But I think your need for essentials, your need for entertainment, your need for other categories, and at some point of time, Indians love value. They don't find as much value when they're buying online. They still love to get out when they're buying fashion. They love to try it on. They love to get
Very
a
true.
feel of the material. They love to see what's the bargain they can get. While all this is still possible in online, but you're really waiting for 15 days or 10 days for it to get delivered to you. Then you're going to try it on. Then you're going to send it back. I think the touch and feel component is going to become essential at some point of time. Which is what I think, coupled with everything else that I mentioned to you, I think things will start to move faster, and you will see that revival in retail real estate coming back.
Also, as the weather getting better, festive season coming, so people will get some confidence to go out. And they're hearing every next day, they're hearing the safety norms, all the malls are taking. And people will
some great set of SOPs that have been set up by mall developers. I got a chance to see those SOPs. They've done everything that they can possibly to ensure safety for consumers. So I have zero doubt that consumers will and already feel safe going to these malls. And I'm telling you, from here on, I think the safety protocol will only keep becoming better and better as they continue to get learnings from their current. If they made any mistakes, which I doubt they have, but they'll continue to evolve from there, and you'll also continue to get best practice learnings from globally. So the safety norms are only going to become better and better.
Absolutely. So it's not only about the government SOPs, which the malls are following. So different malls are following a lot of added things, and the word of mouth would make a lot of difference. Because I was talking to somebody, they do car sanitization. Somebody sanitizes the shopping bags. So, all the malls are coming up with these different things to build customer confidence.
Absolutely.
It's really going to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anuj, we really appreciate your time in sharing your thoughts with entire retail and real estate community. Please stay connected. Read Exhibitions will be back with many more such insights. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashna. Thank you.
Thank you.